I'm going to start just a smidgen early so I can introduce our wonderful teachers today. This is Julia Pacheco. She grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she met her husband. They have 2 girls, ages 3 and 9 months. She loves food and has always loved editing videos. So she started a YouTube channel all about food when her first daughter was 4 months old. Now she has 600,000 subscribers, and it's been a blessing to her family, and we're so lucky to have her today. And her assistant and good friend, Heather Kennington. She was born and raised in Mapleton and Spanish Fork and recently moved back to Lehigh. She's been married to her husband for 13 years and has 4 children, ages 2 to 11. She's a graphic designer and a photographer and loves tennis, sewing, and reading. She loves cooking, but most of all, finding ways to make daily tasks easier, to have more time with her family and hobbies. And I am 100% on that same page. I wish I enjoyed cooking more, but I love enjoying the simplification of cooking. So I'm very excited for this class. Thank you so much.
All right, well, that is welcome to this cooking class. When she asked me to do this class, I was super excited because I make a lot of slow cooker videos for my YouTube channel. I do about 1 slow cooker video a month, and I just love using my slow cooker just because it makes life easier and simplifies dinner time. So I was going to ask you guys, like, what your favorite part of your slow cooker is. Like, what do you like using your slow cooker for? Yeah.
I love making dinner in the morning and not worrying about it once my kids are home from school.
Great.
My all-time favorite thing.
Uh-huh.
The only thing I know how to do is stew. So I'm really excited because I need to learn how to do more. And a slow cooker, I mean, obviously I can make more than that.
Yeah.
I just got a brand new slow cooker because over time I've kind of lost interest in my other old one. And so I thought, I'm getting a new one. But the thing that I learned is that I could put something frozen in it.
Yeah.
Which I thought, I had a thaw, and if I didn't thaw it, then it was, what's the purpose? And so in the morning, if I forget to thaw it, then I can still stick it in the crock pot and it cooks.
Yeah, it does. It works super well.
Yeah.
And you could actually cook ground beef in your slow cooker, if like raw ground beef.
Right.
And you could break it up and then like meal prep it. Just like cooked ground beef, and then you could add the cooked ground beef into like recipes throughout the week. So like if you're making something that needs like just cooked ground beef, you could add it in there. So you could also do that with chicken too. You could cook like 10 chicken breasts all day and then shred them up, and you could freeze them, and then you have cooked chicken. It is wonderful.
Could you explain the ground beef one? I've never tried that. I mean, I've done chicken a lot, but I just think you have to break, I don't know, how does it really look?
Yeah, so you could also do it in your Instant Pot like this. So you just put, like 3 pounds of ground beef. I've done 3. So you just stick it in your crock pot, and yes, it's like a big block, and it's going to cook throughout the day, and all the grease will drip to the bottom of your slow cooker. And then at the end of the day, when the ground beef has cooked through, you just break it up. You could break it up with like a meat masher. You could break it up with a spatula, just like in a bowl, so the grease drippings aren't there. Break it up, and then there you go.
Do you like crock pot or Instant Pot better for?
Oh, crock pot.
Crock pot? Okay.
Yep. I like the crock pot better because I've gotten so many burn signals on my Instant Pot, and it's just, I don't know, it's a little annoying. Yeah.
I just noticed that I like the way it tastes, and it's more tender from the crock pot than the Instant Pot. I just don't like it as well in the Instant Pot.
Yeah, I've noticed, I agree with you. So I've noticed with my Instant Pot, things don't get as tender, and then the Instant Pot almost needs to be babied more. So it's like you put it on high pressure for 40 minutes to make the roast in the Instant Pot or something like that. But like, then you have to leave it alone, and there's just a lot more steps. But with your slow cooker, you put the roast in there, and then it just does the work for you. And then at the end of the day, it's like fall apart tender and wonderful. So thank you guys for that. Oh, another thing is, so this paper right here, there's a couple slow cooker recipes on the back, and those 2 slow cooker recipes on the back are super popular on my website, and my family really loves them, and they're also really easy to do. But on the front, I put some like tips and tricks, sorry. One thing is, you don't really need to use oil for your slow cooker. So if you are somebody that can't do oil right now or struggle with oil, slow cooking is a great option because you can just cut it out. And then I have found, personally, cheaper cuts of meat in the slow cooker work best. So like chicken's considered cheaper. You could do like cheaper roasts, pork, because that way they just fall apart. So money saving trick. And then always put your hard vegetables at the bottom. That will help them become super tender, and then that will also give them extra flavor. So yeah, oh, another thing is when I first started using my slow cooker like once a week, I didn't realize this, but you have to add your dairy at the end. So like milk, cream, sour cream, you don't really want to add those dairy products in when you start your slow cooker because they will kind of break down and curdle. The exception is like cream cheese and heavy cream because those will break down and curdle. Yes?
So no matter what I do, cream cheese just does not work out in the crock pot for me.
Really?
Tips on that.
Yeah. So on one of my YouTube videos, it has like millions of views, and I did cream cheese in one of the recipes, and I had so many people tell me and yell at me, hey, my cream cheese just simply didn't work. And I looked more into that, and I personally think it's a lot of times the type of cream cheese you use. So like I've always found good results with Philadelphia cream cheese, like the expensive cream cheese compared to like the cheap cream cheese. Because when I tried the cheaper cream cheese, it just didn't work out as well. So maybe that could be an issue. Another thing is every slow cooker cooks differently. So I have like 6 slow cookers at my house just because like I love my slow cookers so much, and there's so many different types of slow cookers when you look into them. But some slow cookers like cook super hot, especially like the ones that are cheaper and older. So those might cook a little differently than like say a newer slow cooker that like has better heating. So I don't know, it could be a couple of those reasons.
When you put the cream cheese in, do you usually cut it up or just put the block in?
Depending on the recipe. So if I'm going to put my electric hand mixer in the slow cooker after it's cooked, I just put it in as a block because then I'll just mix everything together and it will just combine well. But if I'm going to make like a soup or something that like has more liquid in the slow cooker, I'll cube my cream cheese and then add it in, and then that way it won't get as clumpy and it'll become
Julia,
better. Yeah. Yeah.
what would you use your electric mixer in your slow cooker? Like,
Oh,
what kind of food would you
yeah.
use that for? Because I've never done it before, so I'm just interested to see.
Yeah, so this is another thing. A lot of you guys probably have an electric hand mixer. And it is like the best thing in the world for shredding pork, chicken, really any type of meat. And you can put it directly in your slow cooker. You can't go crazy with it because it will like chip your slow cooker, but you can put it directly in your slow cooker gently and then it will just shred the meat. Yeah, so for this these cold beef sandwiches, that's what I do. I just put my mixer in there and then I just go at it and then there you go. It's super easy. And then less dishes. You don't have to pull something out and shred it and put it back in. Yeah.
Do you use both, like the
Meat masher?
hand mixers? Do you use both beaters?
Oh yeah, I do use both. Yeah, I do. You could use. Yeah, you could use one as well, but beaters. Yeah, if you want to, but I always do 2. Yeah.
Do you leave the liquid in?
Yeah, so some recipes call for the liquid out, so you could take the liquid out if there's like a bunch of grease in it for this specific recipe. But if it's a recipe that like you need the juices in, just leave the juices in and just do it on low, just so it doesn't splatter.
I just go back to the hard vegetables, you put those under the meat, right, on the bottom of the sauce.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
As long, so if it says to add the vegetables in when you add the roast or the specific meat you're cooking, just add the vegetables in at the bottom. But if it says to add the vegetables in at the end of the cooking time, because sometimes recipes say add the vegetables like for the last hour of cooking, then just follow the recipe. But if it says to add the vegetables in when you add the meat, just put them at the bottom. That way they'll be super, super flavorful, and you will not have a bland potato or a bland carrot. Yes. Any more questions? Yes.
So what's like the favorite slow cooker, favorite top two favorites?
Oh yeah, like the brands. That's a really good question. So, when my husband and I first got married, I bought the cheapest slow cooker at Walmart. So it was $20, and it worked well, and I still have it. But the issues I found with that slow cooker is it heats up really hot, even on low. So then sometimes my food's dry, and it just doesn't cook properly. But I've got like a $70 crock pot. I've looked into crock pots over the years. And my favorite is a Hamilton Beach one, and it has like the timer on it. Oh, and that's another thing. If you're looking for a slow cooker, I definitely recommend one with like the timer on it. That way you could put your food in, you could go to work, you could go do whatever you have to do, and you don't really have to worry about overcooking your food. Because once the timer goes off, then it will just turn to warm, which is like amazing. So you could literally forget about it all day, and then you come home and it's warm for you, not overcooked. So that's one thing. I don't really cook with my slow cookers anymore that just have the gauge on it. Like I always do the ones with the timers just because I'm out of the house a lot with my kids and I don't have time to mess up recipes. Okay, another question I think I saw. Somebody else held their hand up. Maybe not. Okay. Well, so Heather and I, we are going to be doing like a little springtime potpourri today. This is what all this fun stuff is. You could definitely do it with us if you want. If you're not like a potpourri person, you don't have to. But what this is, like I said, it's a springtime potpourri. So we have mint and thyme right here. So you could just grab like a little bit of mint and thyme and a couple cinnamon sticks, a lemon, lime, or orange. And what you do, I forgot my knife and my cutting board, but what you do is you slice whatever fruit up, put it in your slow cooker with the cinnamon sticks and the herbs, and then you could add like 3 to 4 cups of water, put it on low for a few hours, and then your house will be smelling like a springtime miracle. It will be smelling super, super good. Yeah, on. You could also do it off probably, but just cook it longer. That is a good idea. You could leave the lid off, and I'm sure your house will be smelling just even more amazing. I know a lot of people do this with like the fall cranberries and stuff, but this is a really good option for springtime. So, yeah.
Did you say you added one of each or just one of those?
So you could add like, so kind of depending on what you want your house to smell like. If you want it super citrusy, you could do like a lime and a lemon. If you want it kind of like sweeter, you could do a lemon and an orange or just an orange. But for the springtime, the lemon, lime, this is just a really good combination. I'm ready for spring. I'm tired of the snow. Something else I do want to mention to you is if you leave the lid off when you have this going all day, make sure you keep an eye on the liquid, yeah, so it doesn't like burn to your slow cooker. So if you have the lid off, just keep an eye on it all day. Another thing is make sure you do slice your fruits thin, just because you're going to have an even more yummy smelling house. Yes?
Do you leave your crock pot on plugged in all day and leave and go run errands and
For this?
do you feel safe? No, for
Oh, in
anything.
general.
In
Yeah.
general.
That is a good
Do
question.
you feel
So-
like, because if you read the warning label, they
Yeah.
yell at you on that kind of
Yes,
thing.
yes.
Okay, so I lived in a house before this house where I think we had cheap countertops in the rental. Really bad at it still. But anyway, I turned on my crock pot overnight, and in the middle of the night, I thought I better go check on it. And so I went in there, and I realized that it had cracked my countertop, and it has bubbled up. And I've never happened to me before at any other countertop I'd ever had. So I think I don't know. It's just so now I put my crock pot on a tray on top of my stove, like a baking tray, right?
Yeah.
On my stove, if I have, because it did end up cracking my counter, and it was a crockpot brand. So I've never heard that happening to anybody else, but it has happened to me. So just something to think about
Was
if
it
you're gonna
on
do it for a
low?
long, long time. It was on low, and I think it was for about 8 hours, but I think it only been going for about 4.
That's crazy.
Just one thing to think about when you consider putting countertop.
That makes me think of a question. When I was growing up, my mom used the crock pot all the time, and by the time dinner came, she didn't want to eat it because she'd been smelling it all day. So I'm not kidding. She was just like, okay, I'm done with this meal. We all loved it because we'd get home from school and smell it until it was ready. But can you? It's winter, right? Could you put it in the garage, or can you? Okay.
I have something very funny to say about that. So, I was just pregnant last year with my baby, and I was so sick the entire pregnancy. I was like in the hospital a lot of the pregnancy actually, but I kept having to do my videos because that's how my family earns a living. That's what my husband and I do together. So that's like our actual jobs. So I kept having to do my videos, and I would prepare the slow cookers in my kitchen and film it, and then my husband would go out front and put it in the front yard and plug it in on our porch. And they would be going all day, like in our front yard, because the smell would just, the smell would do me in. And it was like, I would smell that smell for weeks after. And then, when the slow cooker meal was done, we'd bring it in the house, I'd like show what I'd have to do at the end. And then I'd have my husband bring it back outside and they'd eat dinner because I couldn't do the smell. So I put them on the front porch. We were home all day when they go on the front porch. So, and if you were to put it in the garage, that's perfectly fine, but make sure you put it on something that like you feel safe about. Another thing that I did is one time I left the house like having a slow cooker going all day. And I had like a little plastic plant next to the slow cooker. It wasn't touching the slow cooker, but it was next to it, and half the plant was melted.
Oh my god.
Like it was just like a countertop plant. So just make sure like nothing's like touching, like like bread, like a bag of bread. Make sure it's not near it because you don't want to melt it. And so. Yeah, just some safety.
I have 2 questions.
Uh-huh.
Number 1, do you ever use those crock pot bags? And do you like them or not?
Okay, so if you guys haven't heard of crock pot liners yet, that's what she's talking about. They are a lifesaver. What? They came from the heavens. They're wonderful. And I do use crock pot liners all the time. I normally get mine at Walmart, but they also sell them on Amazon. And I think they're from the Reynolds brand. I think that's the brand. Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. Which brand? What? Oh, okay. Mhm. Yeah. Okay.
Who does?
Kroger. Kroger has like an off brand that you can buy. Yeah. Oh yeah, their brand. That's probably cheaper. So I should have brought a crock pot liner, darn it. But if you Google crock pot liners, it's like a plastic bag.
Like a shower cap.
Yeah, kind of like a shower cap, but like very big. And you line your slow cooker with it, and then you put the food in after you line your slow cooker. And it cooks in there all day. To me and my family, it doesn't affect the taste. Have you used them?
I never use them.
Yeah, okay, and that's the thing. My husband is like the #1 slow cooker cleaner. He makes everything shiny clean, but like, when I use those slow cooker liners, he just loves me so much because slow cookers are so hard to clean. After having your food in a slow cooker all day, sometimes things get like burnt on the edges. If you put cheese in at the end, it will like stick and get hard. So I definitely recommend slow cooker liners because just one last thing you have to do is clean your slow cooker. Oh, and then at the end, like when your food is ready, you just could serve out of it or put the food like in Tupperware containers if you have leftovers, and then just throw the bag in the trash. Like, it is magical. So I definitely recommend those. My families love them.
So my second question is, I've attempted twice to do like an egg casserole, like that cooks overnight. I put it in, you know, at 4 a.m. or something, so it'll be ready at 8, and they've never turned out. Do you have any tips for like eggs, hash browns? Like, do you have a video that works, like something that works?
Yeah, I have 3 videos about like slow cooker breakfast, but what was the reason why it didn't turn out?
Like, how did it not turn out?
It just burned too much, and I'm wondering actually now if it's because my crock pot is now broken because I'd like gotten it for my wedding, and so I threw it away, but I wonder if it was cooking too hot because it was an older one.
Was the egg set in the center? Was it cooked through?
I don't remember. All I know is I was doing it like after a baby blessing when we had a family in town, and it did not turn out at all, so we had lots of fruit and yogurt.
Yeah, darn. So I've done 3 different slow cooker breakfast videos on my channel, and you can watch those, but that is frustrating. And yeah, that is irritating.
It just like burned completely on the bottom, but maybe it was just.
I've had one egg casserole burned to my slow cooker, and it was the like old slow cooker that was like kind of junky, and it had like a big dent in the side. But it did burn to it. You do have to make sure you do it on low.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's so
and I sprayed it, and then I remember hash brown and egg like burned.
Yeah. See, that's an example of like not all slow cookers cook the same. We are all different, and so are slow cookers apparently. So yeah, that's frustrating because it shouldn't burn like that, especially if you use cooking spray.
Yeah.
Darn. Yeah, it could be because the slow cooker cooks too hot.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
An egg is kind of hard to cook in the slow cooker in general. It's not, like, doing breakfast in the slow cooker is not one of those things that's, like, the easiest thing in the world. I have had a lot of hate comments about, like, breakfast things not turning out. But it's just, it's not as easy. So if you're new to slow cooking, I wouldn't start with breakfast. I'd start with, like, chicken tacos. Like an easy chicken taco recipe is you could put a few chicken breasts in your slow cooker. You could add about 1.5 cups of salsa and a tablespoon of taco seasoning. Let it cook all day on low for about like 6-7 hours. Shred the chicken up, and then there you go. That's like one of the easiest things you could start with if you're new to slow cooking. So I wouldn't start with like breakfast just because it is not fail-proof.
Does it taste better when you put it on low and it cooks longer, or does it not really matter?
I don't think it matters as much. I typically do low all day just because I'm like going to preschool and like I forget about starting my slow cooker if I don't do it in the morning. Yes?
I just forgot what I'm sorry, I think you covered this and I forgot or missed it. Can you put a frozen chicken breast in there and it'll eventually be done, or?
So I've done a lot of frozen, so if you Google it, technically, like, you're not supposed to because, like, it could have, like, I don't know, you could get salmon, I don't know. But, like, I have done it so many times.
Okay.
So, like, as long as your chicken is cooked on the end, you could do it, you know. But if you don't cook your chicken through, it could contain, like, salmonella. So, yes?
Oh, I just wondered, what desserts, I know some recipes that come with your crock pot have a dessert thing.
Yeah.
What are the best types of desserts in a crock pot?
Oh, yeah, I've done one dessert video on my YouTube channel, and desserts aren't super easy either. It's almost like breakfasts in the slow cooker. They're not like
easier.
Yeah, it's not like the easiest thing in the world, but my favorite thing to do in the slow cooker for dessert is like banana bread, surprisingly. It might sound really weird, but I've done like chocolate chip walnut banana bread, and I put like a layer of parchment paper down on the bottom. I cut it so it like wasn't overlapping, and then you put like the banana bread mixture in there, cook it on low, and then it actually turns out really good.
It's just like a oval?
Yeah, it's an oval. Yeah, it's like not as like, it's like flatter.
Yeah.
But it's like good, like surprisingly.
Another one is brownies too.
Oh,
You can bake brownies in a slow cooker.
oh.
And they're really, really good.
See, I've never done that, but that sounds great. Banana bread and brownies. Oh, I can't remember. I almost think like, 4 hours on low. But I could be wrong. But, oh, another thing is like, for desserts, around Christmas time, a lot of people do like the chocolate with the peanuts and like, melt the chocolate, mix it in with the peanuts. And then you could put it like on parchment paper and then it will harden. That's like my favorite, probably one of my favorite desserts to do in the slow cooker, just because that is fail-proof. You just put like a couple big chunks of chocolate in, what are those called?
Almond bark.
Yeah, the bark things. Yeah, so you put like 2 of those in with like probably 30 ounces of peanuts and then cook it up for a couple hours and then stir it and then put it on parchment paper. So,
I just asked, do you have a favorite soups or stews that you do in a?
Oh yeah. I love cooking stew in the slow cooker. I've just found best results with it. One thing I do recommend that I just can't stand doing is browning your beef before you put it in your slow cooker. I can't stand doing that just because it is another step you have to do. And I typically have like a toddler yelling at me and a baby that needs milk. But like browning your beef or browning like your roast, your stew meat will like enhance the flavor and make it super rich. So you just brown it on a stove on super high heat and then add it in. So my favorite soup is probably like beef stew. It's just really good in the slow cooker because that meat like becomes fall apart tender, and it's almost like a pot roast but just soup version.
Have you ever tried a cobbler? I mean, I know that Dutch ovens are really good with cobblers. Are crock pots similar?
Oh, that's actually, I haven't, but I feel like that would work really well because you could just put the fruit at the bottom and like it really wouldn't burn to it. I think that's a great idea. I haven't personally done it, but I could see that working out super well. Did you have a question?
It was about your chocolate and peanuts.
Oh yeah.
Every Christmas I make, we call them fancy steps. They're basically crackers with peanut butter in between and then chocolate coated. And I've always had to do it at the stove with steam coming up because my chocolate will seize if it gets too hot. Does a crock pot not make chocolate seize, or is it just over, like you have a certain length of time and then it'll start to seize, or? That
is a great question. So for me, it hasn't, but I put the peanuts on the bottom of the slow cooker so it's not directly touching and then I put the chocolate over the top, and then if you just do it on low, or even if you do it on high, it's just going to cook so slow that it's not as rapid as if you were to put it like in your microwave or, so I don't think, that hasn't happened for me, but I could possibly see that happening, but.
Okay.
So like being so slow, yeah?
Have you ever tried like cracked wheat cereal or oatmeal?
Oh, in the slow cooker? No, I've done oatmeal in the Instant Pot and it actually turned out super good.
Yeah.
But, oh, I actually have done oatmeal. Yeah. I've done like 1,000 things. I have done oatmeal. It was like last year in January. And I think I did it with like berries and stuff and it was really good. So yeah, and it's also easy. You could put like old-fashioned oats in your slow cooker, water, whatever you want. If you want it to be like apple cinnamon oatmeal, just do apples and cinnamon. If you want like other types of fruit, you could even add probably like protein powder. So yeah, I have done that.
Do you put it all in at night and then it's there in the morning, or is it only 4 hours? Or?
Yeah, that's the hard part about doing breakfast in a slow cooker is like, when are you gonna do it, right? So, yeah, that's the tricky part because what are you gonna do, wake up super early? So what I've typically done in the past is like when I do my slow cooker breakfast, it's for brunch. So like say I wake up at 6 and then it'll be ready by brunch time. So not a super early breakfast, but yeah, that is the harder part. Also, another thing you could do is make these breakfasts in the slow cooker, and then you can make them all day, like in a day, and then just put them in your fridge and then warm them up in the microwave the next day if you want to like meal prep them or do something like that.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
My friend does that like on Monday, and then they eat it throughout
Yeah.
the week. And
Yeah. So another.
Sorry, with the oatmeal, if you use the steel cut oats, then those will work better overnight.
They take longer to cook.
I've done that overnight with the steel cut oats.
Yeah.
And if you do it right before bed and first thing in the morning.
I like that idea, doing steel cut oats, because those are super good for you.
those are the healthiest, right?
Yeah, I think they are, and they're super yummy if you do them right, so that they would take forever. So another thing you could do in your slow cooker is, I actually did it last week, is freezer meals. So I made 18 different freezer meals in like a day, and how you could do that is, I would show you on this TV, but I'm not very good.
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm not good with like tech stuff.
Yeah.
That's my husband's job, but, so I have these like baggy rock things, I should have brought them, but they hold your Ziploc bags open, or you could put a Ziploc bag in a pitcher, and then you could just put the ingredients for the slow cooker recipe in the Ziploc bag, and then just stick it in your freezer. They'll last in your freezer up to 3 months. Of course, they're still good after 3 months, it's just the flavor is good for 3 months, pretty much. And then for chili or like things like that, you could just dump it directly into your slow cooker from frozen. So that's a great, like, if you're super busy and you just don't want to pay for like beehive meals, is that what it is called?
There's several. Beehive meals is one of them.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of slow cooker freezer or instant pot freezer companies that will like send you freezer meals for your slow cooker or your instant pot. And like it's great, like great services, love them, but it is a little bit more pricey. So if you are wanting to save money and it really just only takes a day, and you want to prep some meals, just grab some ingredients, put it out on your table, and then just stick the food items for the specific recipe in the bags, freeze it, and then there you go. That's all those companies pretty much do.
So, yeah, so I think that's really great, because you can just do it, but it does take a little bit of time, but if you're looking to save money, doing it on your own is for sure the best way to do it, right, always.
Yeah.
But I was looking online, if you are interested in doing the freezer meals, I have no stake in the game, I'm just mentioning them, because like she said at the beginning, I love the fastest, most simple way to do things. I have had beehive meals before, and they're pretty good, they do a good job. There's citrus pear, Home Chef does them now. Like Home Chef is they send you meal kits to make, but they also now do crock pot meals. And I think also, yesterday. But there's also InstaFreeze, that one's based I think up in like Bountiful.
Yeah.
So it just depends on your level of how much time do I have, how much money do I have, how often do I want to just grab in the freezer and put this on the thing for 6 hours. So just a few different,
That's exactly right.
different ones.
Those are great services.
A friend in our ward recently, she just like messaged a bunch of moms and just said, do you guys want to do a meal swap? And whoever was available, we made like 10 of the same meal. So it was really easy. And then we got together and just swapped. So I came home with 9 new ones and my own. And we ended up having less people because people got busy. But we were able to like, oh, I'm going to take this to the person I minister to. And it's been amazing. I just used my last meal and we're going to do it again. And it was so much fun and it was so easy. I loved it.
That's such a great idea. I have a freezer meal going out on YouTube tomorrow. It's just like a video on freezer meals, so you could watch that, see what I did. But that's a great idea. So a lot of the meals that I have in the video for tomorrow have like multiple. So I did 3 of every recipe, which is just like slightly more time, but you're getting 3 recipes and you could take them to your friends, your ministering people, neighbors, whatever, and then they have an easy meal, or you could cook them for them too. But yeah, meal prepping for the slow cooker is wonderful. Highly recommend it.
I was part of her group too, so I got all those.
Oh,
But
cool.
in another ward, like years ago, a bunch of ladies and I all brought Ziploc bags with like 2 or 3 chicken breasts in it and like a roast and steak and things like that. We all brought things, and then a lady bought all the ingredients and we just paid her. And so you'd squirt like 2 cups of ketchup when we passed around, everybody put ketchup in, and then you'd put like the seasonings in. So that's because meat can be really expensive. So if you all provided your own meat, but then the toppings went in the bags, that worked well too.
That's a really cool idea. I love that, because then you could get together and then it's cheaper in the end. I like that.
Sorry. Maybe this is obvious, but some people are vegetarian and don't want the meat. We think of crock pot a lot of time with meat. I think most people eat meat with their meals anyway. But if you're a vegetarian or you don't eat meat in any way, crock pot, you can still use crock pots for your vegetables or whatever kind of vegetarian meals you like to make. And sometimes you don't even have to spend quite as much time in the crock pot with whatever type of food you have. So it just saves you time for vegetarians too. So.
Yeah, that's a great point. I have, like, my favorite minestrone soup recipe, it's vegetarian and it is in the slow cooker. So, great for meatless meals too. So, yeah, for everybody.
Maybe everybody already knows this, but Lemon and Sage in Springville, you can like call them and set up a group, and they do all the shopping. You go and you make a whole bunch of freezer meals.
No.
You rotate stations and kind of like make the freezer meals and then take them home. And I can't remember how. It's been a little while since I've done it, but I was just Googling to see if they still do it, and I think they do. And they do. Oh, it says 8. So you get 8 different. Yeah, 8 meals.
Yeah,
and you're like groups of 3 or 4 people who rotate around, you know. And so, anyway, in the morning you've got 8 meals. So.
Geez, that's great, because even, like, I make my money making food for people, like, for my videos, but, like, all of the time, I don't even know what I'm going to make for dinner. So, like, that's nice on extra busy nights when you're just scrambling. So, those are great services. Any more questions?
I have one more comment. Something I've done with crock pots as well as I have like a few of my just favorites, and I'll buy the ingredients all, but the fresh stuff I never always had, like, because you need peppers on some and sweet potatoes, and you have to peel them and chop them. So I'll just do all of that beforehand and freeze those bags of sweet potatoes cut up. And that simplifies those meals a lot more. And because sometimes I don't have fresh peppers, you know. Yeah. So I just have those always in my freezer. So if I want to make my favorite meals, and that's been really nice. Yeah. Very simple hack, but I've really liked it.
That is a great idea, especially with things that are going bad.
Yes.
What I used to do is I used to buy like a ton of onions at once, because like cutting an onion is just a lot of work. So I used to buy a ton, and then I used to freeze them on parchment paper on a sheet pan, because if you freeze onions together, they'll just become like a rock. But I used to freeze them on a sheet pan on parchment paper, and then there you go. You have onions for the next little while, and you don't have to worry about buying them or cutting them, because it takes about 10 minutes to cut an onion. It takes you forever. Or diced onions.
Sliced onions, not whole onion.
Diced. If you need like a diced onion for a recipe. But sliced onions don't take as much work, I guess. Yes.
You were mentioning earlier about cooking in the garage. My family has a very sensitive nose, and they don't like me to cook fish for that reason. And so I found that you can go to thrift stores, and I've done this in many, many cities, and it's always there. You can always find one of those Foreman grills on sale. So I got a Foreman grill, and I would just go out into the garage and plug it in and put the fish on the grill and let it cook, and in 5 or 10 minutes you're done. And you unplug it, and then it doesn't bring the smell in the house.
Yeah, that is a great idea, because I know a lot of people are sensitive to smells, or if you're pregnant, you're sensitive to everything. So that is a great idea. You can cook in the garage even with a little skillet. That's what my husband used to do. Yeah.
Along those lines, it just reminded me, I have a friend who bought a oven, and she actually plugs in just a cheap old oven from KSL in her garage, and she makes her sourdough out there so that she makes sourdough all the time. I forgot about it until you just mentioned that, but yeah, she just got something off of KSL for really cheap.
Yeah.
And plugged it in out in the garage. I don't know how, because I think sometimes you have to have a special plug, but
yeah. Well, if
anyway.
It's electric, it might just plug in.
But that's where she cooks all of her sourdough, and I thought that was brilliant when I went over there one time. So.
That is smart. Jeez, I love these ideas. This is great.